Hey, it's Sunday, November 18th, 2018. I'm John Knox. I'm out in Picture Rocks, Arizona, about 25-30 miles west of Tucson. I happen to be near one of the main roads out here called Picture Rocks Roads, and there's a lot of big block pickup trucks out here, motorcycles, all kinds of noise, and there's a couple of dogs in the neighbor's yard, so the audio might be a little busy, but I've got some great things to cover. I'm going to talk about Carpentry, 5G, and Chris Haskell. I'm going to tie them all together, so stay with me. Now, first, the Carpentry. The house and grounds behind me is where I'm doing carpentry and going to be doing some painting very soon. A fellow activist out here in Tucson, out here in Picture Rocks, who was deeply involved in working with Chris Haskell with his situation, happened to have carpentry and house painting that needed to be done, and those are two of my trades. The fortunate thing about being here is the carpentry tools were pretty much already on the premises. I don't have any tools with me. There's no room in my truck for a giant amount of carpentry tools, which I've got back in Los Angeles. So what I'm going to do here is earn travel money to get back to Los Angeles. Once I get there, everything goes into a trailer, and then I'm going to be prepared to do carpentry anywhere. The great thing about carpentry for me is it's the manual labor of it cultivates my common sense. You're always looking at, how's this going to look? What's the measurement? What do I need to solve? And how's it going to come out? Is it good? So carpentry is almost a therapy for me, right? And as you know, one of my favorite phrases is cultivate your common sense. So, hey, I'm a 68-year-old guy. I don't work 8 to 10 hour days anymore. I can't do it. I work 6-7 hour days, but I charge a lot lower hourly rate. So the client gets the work they're looking for, and I got a chance to do the excellent work that I really enjoy doing. Okay, that's the carpentry part of it. Now, 5G. I've been working in my own mind of what am I for? It's very easy to be anti. It's very easy to be against solar geoengineering. You know, I'm for skies that have no chemical or electronic manipulation in them. 5G, I finally understood that what I'm for on that particular issue is municipally owned broadband fiber optic networks. They're way more efficient, and they don't have the radiation hazard that 5G is going to have. All right, so I'm in contact with the people in Marin County, San Anselmo, and Marin City, and I would like to get up there to lend my abilities to the fight that they are engaged in bringing municipally owned broadband fiber optic networks into their particular towns. Another thing I would like to get up to that area for is near Santa Rosa. The people that I like to work with are really covering the fires that are happening up there. Of course, those fires are now happening closer to Los Angeles too with the Camp Fire. But I want to make sure that the information gets out, that people, and in a way that people can absolutely understand the causes of these fires, the reasons for these fires, so that they can be more intelligent about what they know is happening, what's being caused by the power structure. All right, I digress. Back to 5G. I've come to understand the wireless network that's being promoted, and that I am a part of, is what I would call electronic OxyContin. Having the wireless capabilities is convenient, it's seductive, but ultimately I believe it's an addiction. Now, here's what I'm doing. I've yet to get a flip phone. I still have the smartphone. But what I've learned to do is put the smartphone on a stick. Because if I want to work with my hands as a carpenter, and I wind up waking up in the morning with my hands hurting because I've been holding this thing for actually years, I finally learned that if I put it on a stick, my hands feel better in the morning. So if you've got one of these, get used to having it on a stick. Once you do, it's even easier to use. Okay, now, some of the people that are working up in Marin County, San Anselmo, they have information which I want to give to you because I just got it recently. And any website information that I give you is going to be in the description box below this video, so don't worry if you didn't get it right away. There's a website that I just discovered called eon3emfblog.net. eon3emfblog.net. EON stands for Ecological Options Network. They've got information on smart meters, on the 5G network, and how these things are extremely dangerous and what the options are, you know, to not use these things. And that's where I'm learning about the municipally owned broadband fiber optic networks. Now, a few other websites which I picked off this website is mystreetmychoice.com, whatis5g.info, telecompowergrab.org, 05g.com, and the last one I have here is takebackyourpower.net. Now, I know Josh Del Sol, who runs takebackyourpower.net. He is the one that developed that great documentary, Take Back Your Power, on how to deal with smart meters and the utilities that are trying to push them on everybody. And Josh and I right now are looking at, we're exploring the idea of taking the work of Dr. Martin Pall, who has recently published in May of 2018 the current version of his work that basically shows the 8 pathological effects of non-thermal microwave energy. He shows in no uncertain terms an extreme scientific accuracy with tremendous amounts of references and backup that the non-thermal energy of microwaves and electromagnetic frequencies, that is the true danger to the human race. Okay, so Josh and I are looking at seeing if we can make a version of Dr. Martin Pall's paper, which is about 20 minutes, a video version about 20 minutes, keeping the accuracy and the truth of what he has written, but making it accessible and easily understandable in about 20 minutes or so. So Josh and I are exploring that. All right. Oh, one other person that you want to look at for information on 5G and microwave energy is Barry Trower. Phenomenal expert. He's been around since he's been doing this work since the mid-60s. He's British, he talks a little slow, but his information is phenomenal. It's truly worth finding out about. All right, now that brings me to Chris Haskell. If it weren't for Chris Haskell, I wouldn't be standing here. I wouldn't be working as a carpenter and painter in Tucson to get back to Los Angeles. Chris and his advocacy, his 10-year-long advocacy here in Tucson of trying to warn people about the dangers of solar geoengineering, what he did created a legacy. And what that legacy means to me is Chris deserves our support even more than he did before. Now, some of you may or may not know, he eventually had to sign a plea bargain with the state and the city that basically keeps him on a very onerous probation program for at least 1.5 years. So what he's done is he's enrolled in culinary school, and the state approves that. He's going to be taking a 10-week course, but that's not going to let him earn money to support himself. So what I would suggest is if you got a couple extra dollars, now more than ever, while Chris is trying to put his life back together and deal with all the rules that the state and city are now dumping on him, now would be a good time to send Chris a couple of bucks. And his PayPal information will be down below in the description notes. Please find it. Please send him a couple of dollars. It is always going to be worth your while to support his work. I'm able to do carpentry and painting. I've got wheels that roll. You know, I'm going to be okay. You know, there were times when I needed donations. There may be times I needed them in the future, but Chris is stuck in one spot for at least 1.5 years. And for the next 10 weeks, while he goes to school to learn how to be a chef, he's not going to be able to earn any money. So please, once again, if you can, send him a couple of bucks. His PayPal information will be down below. Please find it and use it. Now that brings me to another thought that I have. A lot of people have differing opinions about how Chris went about and did what he did. And within every activist community, there's always going to be differences of opinions. As long as I draw my breath as an activist, I'm going to be interested in this: building bridges, not walls. Bridges, not walls. The divisions that walls create are exactly what the power structure wants. So as long as I can possibly do it, I'm always going to be promoting people to work with each other in spite of some of their smaller differences, okay? Now, the other thing that I want to cover is this: stay curious. Why do I end my videos with stay curious? I've come to understand that nothing is going to stop a curious human being once they've decided that they want to know more. So my job as an activist is not to give them the scientific paper, it's not to give them all the references, the indexes, and all the bibliographies. I can't do that. That's not what I do. But I can give people the Cliff's Notes. I can give them the Reader's Digest version, which is accurate, but it's just the highlights. So as I do my videos, I'm always going to sign off with the words, stay curious. There's one other thing I want to cover while I'm here. Carpentry, once again, is becoming more and more important to me to keep my common sense working. It's a way of healing my particular situation. Find what heals you and go for it. I'm starting to read books again, and I'm extremely happy about it, that I have the concentration to look at a printed page, get into the world that the author has created, and for 15 or 20 minutes, I'm enjoying a book. That to me is also something that I'm happy to get back to, which I think the electronic world kind of kept me away from it. But, you know, now I've gotten past that and I'm really enjoying it. There's a woman in Holland named Frida de Swart, and she's working with a group called LHP, which I believe is the Lightworker Healing Protocol. Now, it might be a little esoteric for some of us, but I'm going to be following that when I get the chance to focus on it as a way of making myself stronger, because as an activist, I want to stay as long as I possibly can and say what I have to say as long as I possibly can. And if the LHP program is one of the ways that I have of doing that, I'm going for it. I recommend everybody start working on your own inner strengths, because that's where the real challenge is living in this world. Okay? All right. It's Sunday, November 18th, 2018. I'm John Knox. I'm cultivating my common sense by doing carpentry and painting and reading books. And I gotta tell you, as I go forward, I know I'm going to find more and more and more reasons always to stay curious.